Namaste. Welcome to episode 12 of our series From Achievement to Alignment. Whenever life presents us with an important decision, something interesting happens. We start looking outward. We ask friends, we ask mentors, we ask experts, we search for books, videos, podcasts, some form of advice. And there is nothing wrong with seeking guidance. In fact, wisdom traditions have always encouraged learning from those who have walked the path before us. But have you noticed something? Even after receiving advice, uncertainty often remains. Because deep down, the question is rarely about what should I do? But the deeper question is, how do I know what is right for me? And that question cannot be answered entirely by someone else. It requires something deeper within: discernment, self awareness, your inner authority. This is why today's conversation is not really about trusting your intuition. It is about developing the capacity to become your own guide. Or to ask a more provocative question, can we become our own Lord Krishna? Not by becoming perfect, not by knowing everything, but by learning how to access wisdom instead of constantly searching for certainty outside. And this is exactly where the Bhagavad Gita takes us. If you read the Bhagavad Gita carefully, one thing becomes very clear. Arjuna keeps on asking a lot of questions again and again. He asks things like, what should I do? Which path is better? What should I choose? What is right? What is wrong? Who is superior? How should I act? How should I think? How should I live? And honestly, who can blame him? When life becomes confusing, we all want answers. We all want certainty. We want someone wiser to tell us exactly what to do. Because certainty feels safe and responsibility feels heavy. Yet something fascinating happens throughout the Gita. Krishna rarely gives Arjuna a simple instruction. He doesn't say, just do this or don't do that. Trust me and stop your questions. He never says that. Instead, Krishna expands Arjuna's understanding. He challenges assumptions. He reveals the blind spots. He broadens Arjuna's perspective. He develops Arjuna's capacity to see clearly. And that changes everything. Near the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says something remarkable. After sharing 18 chapters of wisdom, he tells Arjuna that reflect deeply upon all of this and then act as you choose. That is exactly the verse 63 of chapter 18. I'll repeat. He tells Arjuna, reflect deeply on all of this and then act as you choose. Pause and let that sink in. After 700 verses, Krishna gives the decision back to Arjuna. Why? Because the goal of wisdom is not obedience. The goal of wisdom is inner clarity. The purpose of a teacher is not to replace your judgment. The purpose of a teacher is to strengthen it. True teaching creates freedom, not dependence. And perhaps that is one of the greatest lessons of the Gita. The journey is not from confusion to certainty, but the journey is from confusion to discernment. This insight is not unique to the Bhagavad Gita. It runs through the Upanishads as well. Again and again, the sages point inward. One of the most famous declarations, the Mahavakya of Advaita Vedanta is Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. The truth you seek is not separate from you. Another Mahavakya says Aham Brahmasmi. I am the Brahman. At the deepest level, wisdom is not imported from the outside. It is uncovered from within. This doesn't mean we stop learning from teachers and experts and our guides. It simply means we understand their true role. A teacher does not give you your truth. A teacher helps remove what prevents you from seeing it. The Guru's highest purpose is not to create followers. It is to awaken the inner Guru in their disciples, the inner guide, inner authority, the deeper intelligence which is already present within you. This is where Svadhyaya from the Yoga Sutras becomes so important. Svadhyaya is often loosely translated as self-study, but it is much more than that. It is a lifelong conversation with yourself, Swadhyaya, a willingness to observe your inner world honestly, to understand your patterns, your fears, your conditionings, your gifts, your recurring lessons. Most people spend years studying the outer world. Very few spend time studying themselves. Yet the quality of our decision depends on the quality of self-understanding, my friends. When we practice Swadhyaya, we begin noticing something important. Not every voice within us deserves equal trust. Fear speaks, conditioning speaks, our ego speaks, past wounds speak, and wisdom also speaks. The challenge is learning the difference. And this is why self trust is not blind confidence, it is refined discernment. The ability to distinguish reaction from wisdom, from an impulse and insight, ability to distinguish from noise and truth. So, what does it mean to become your own Krishna? It doesn't mean having all the answers. It means learning how to ask better questions. When fear appears, can you pause before reacting? When criticism arrives, can you remain grounded? When uncertainty emerges, can you stay present long enough to listen deeply? Can you guide yourself with wisdom rather than pressure of expectations? Can you respond instead of react? Can you become a trusted advisor to your own mind? This is the inner authority. Not certainty, not perfection, not ego, but maturity. Because eventually there comes a moment in every meaningful life where external validation is no longer enough. You have to trust what you know. You have to walk your path. You have to make your choice. And no one else can do that for you. This week, when faced with an important decision, don't rush to seek an answer. Instead, sit quietly for a few moments and ask, what would fear choose? What would an approval seeking part of me choose? What would wisdom choose? Listen closely, not for the loudest voice, for the calmest one. The voice that does not argue or panic. The voice that remains steady even in the uncertainty. Over time, that voice becomes easier to recognize with repeated practice and easier to trust. If there is one insight I want you to carry from today's conversation, it is this: the purpose of wisdom is not to make you dependent or for you to know all the answers, but the purpose of wisdom is to make you free. The purpose of teacher is not to think for you, but the purpose of a teacher is to help you see clearly enough to think for yourself. And perhaps that is Krishna's greatest gift to Arjuna. Not answers, but discernment. Not certainty, but clarity. Not dependence, but inner authority. So, as you move through your day, remember, can I become my own Krishna? I trust myself. The world can wait because the deepest wisdom you seek is not somewhere out there. It is waiting to be heard within. Tomorrow, we explore a profound shift in the journey of purpose, contribution over comparison. Why serving others is your fastest path to purpose. Because the search for meaning becomes lighter when life stops revolving around how do I measure up and begins asking how can I contribute. Until then, listen deeply, reflect honestly, and keep strengthening the guide within you. Namaste.